Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. We have an amazing guest today, Daniel Pina. He is currently an amateur fighter who is 1-1. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am okay given the circumstances. Thank you for joining me today on my podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
I know it was a little last minute, but I do appreciate your time. I know you're busy. Um,
Well, I mean, I reached out to you, so I guess it had to happen that way. Nothing happens for no reason.
exactly. You're right. You're right. But I do appreciate it. Now, we were talking about how one of the main things is how we're in June and it's Mental Health Awareness Month for men. When is it okay not to be okay?
Um, I believe all the time, right? Because we're human, and then I feel like as people who have fought before, or you know what I mean, in that sport, they tend to, bottle a lot of things up
Mhm.
and want to be strong and always be strong for the people around them like that. So I feel I'm seeing that it should be more often that we should express ourselves and to say that it's all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not all right today, or things are not going right in my life. You know what I mean? And just reach out and express it, because bottling it up is just it just does so much harm to the body. You know what I mean? And also your mental too, right? Because the mind, body, and spirit, all of that's one. So you can look physically fine, but on the inside, you can be going through an internal war that nobody knows that you're fighting. You understand?
And
You know,
that's the thing. And it's crazy, honestly. Like, somebody mentioned to me, like, they said, it's interesting how, people go into fighting, right? And they train and do all this stuff. And it's because, a lot of them, they're trying to fight internal battles that nobody sees. And on top of being a man, that you can't really express yourself because society shames it, which I don't agree with. I never even realized that on top of that, if you're a fighter, there's probably more pressure
hmm
because people see it as, well, you're a fighter, you need to be tough, you need to do all this stuff, like you shouldn't be going through all this. And when I started training in jiu-jitsu and boxing and all that, I did it because I did it as therapy. And obviously I'm a woman, but I never really understood or realized that there's more pressure on a man, because on top of being a man and you can't express yourself, you're also a man, but you're a fighter. So they see you as, you're so tough. You shouldn't be going through anything. Have you been in that situation before?
man, I got shot when I was 18 in the dick and just below the abdomen. So when that had happened, but I give you the whole backstory. So my father, I mean, God rest his soul. He
Mhm.
uh he was he was an alcoholic, and occasionally he dabbled with some drugs. Like, he wasn't like physically abusive, but he was verbally abusive to the me, my mother, and my sister. So at around 10 or 11, like, I would fight back, and that kind of just led me to be just this self-destructive kid, because my self-speech was always negative, because
Mhm.
I've always had just that negative being thrown at
Voice.
me.
Yeah.
So on the outside, I'd be smiling and be a happy kid like everybody else, but on when I'm in the home life, it's not good. So I'd always be outside. So that led me to be kind of self-destruct, not kind of, like, I was self-destructive. Like, I didn't love myself. Like, I was angry, but nobody know. I can't really express that to my mother, because she's in the situation. She would always, I'd like, leave him, but she's like, no, that's your father, and I didn't have a father, and X, Y, and Z. But just having both of them, like, to me, not relate to how I'm feeling, just
Mhm.
kind of made it worse, you know. And the outlet was being on the street with the homies, what I'm saying, smoking. I started smoking and drinking at an early age, so rolling blunts with tobacco, harming my heart, and lungs, and drinking a lot of alcohol. And when I was 18, we had beat somebody up who was selling some coke to somebody else's family member that was also a drug addict. Because I didn't like alcohol
Hmm.
or people who kind of, sold coke or drugs like that. I was always against it. So whatever that happened, and then I saw the guy at the pizza shop, and then he tried to rob me, and then I reached for the gun, you know what I'm saying? And then he shot, boom, boom. He tried to like bring it up the line. I grabbed his wrist. Well, long story, we have a little fight, scuffle, fall back into the pizza shop. But I say that to say that that low point in my life kind of was like, that was super low. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now it was like, oh, if you really wanted to kill yourself, like, now it was like, how do I keep it together? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm only 18. Like, is my dick gonna work? Like, I had a colostomy bag and I had the catheter. So I was peeing into a bag for a month and I was shitting into a bag for 8 months. And while I was in the hospital, I was there for 8 days. I couldn't have no food, no water. I was still fighting to get water. Like I would
Hmm.
ask for ice cubes and then like try to dip it, whatever I could to get water. I'm serious. It was an experience. They had a tube into my nose, down my throat, and they were wheeling me to go get my brain checked because
Hmm.
we had hit our heads or whatever. So I had like a little spot back there. The tube had came out because it got caught because they were wheeling me on the cart. It got caught, so it came all the way out. And they put it in there while I was sleeping. So they tried to put it back in. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. And they're like, no, we need to do this. And I'm like, listen. They were like, if seriously, they were like, if you throw up, like that could be bad because of what happened. Because they took pieces of my intestines and my colon. So they're like, this could be bad. I'm like, well, if I don't throw up, I don't need the tube, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, so I ain't gonna throw up. So that was that. Like, that happened on like day three. That was like, crazy experience. And so on the eighth day, because I was a victim of a violent crime,
Hmm.
I had the bag and everything like that. They were like, all right. They gave me a bunch of colostomy bags, some saline, some gauze. Was like, all right, see you later. I'm like, I don't get no nurse to come see me. They're like, nah, you don't qualify for it because you're a victim of a violent crime and you live in the hood. So they're like, they're basically like, nah, bro, like, we're not putting no nurse at risk. So I had to come back.
Wow.
Yeah, for real. So true story. And then on top of that, they thought something was wrong with me because of how I reacted to it. Like, I was so calm about the whole, the whole situation. They had offered me therapy. I'm like, nah,
Hmm.
not really. I'm not for therapy because they tried that when I was younger. When I fought my dad, I'm like, I don't really don't
Hmm.
talk to you people about the problems that we face in the hood. Like, maybe if back then, if it was a black person, I would have been okay, doing it. But back then, no, I was just so out of control.
Hmm.
So now, now I'm pooping into a bag. Got to empty the pee bag, so I do that for a while. They finally take the catheter out. They reverse the colostomy bag, but from all of that, I kind of just got thrust back into life.
Hmm.
Right, so I go to Houston with my cousin because my mom and my dad feel like I'm not safe. Go there for a while, and then I just go right to work. Like I didn't do, and I also I didn't do any physical therapy, right? So I just go straight to selling CDs or whatever I was doing at my cousin's store. So like I'm really like hurting because it hit me in the like below my abdomen, so I'm
Hmm.
kind of like hunched over all the time.
Oh.
Like serious like back problems, and then not using my butt or my glutes because it hit me in the abdomen and it ended
Hmm.
up back here. So like all my like all of that was just weak, and I just didn't want physical therapy. I didn't want therapy. I was just like, it was just a lot. Like a lot was just going on, and I don't know how to handle it. I don't
Hmm.
know how to express myself, right? So I find an MMA gym out there, and I fall in love with MMA, but I don't really pursue a career or anything like that. I'm just training.
Hmm.
Come back to Boston, you know, uh, find Redline, and then I went there for a little bit, but this was like my early 20s. I didn't stay there. Then the UFC gym came out, and then I found Ken Moy at
Hmm.
UFC gym, and then he was like, "Oh, come to Redline," and I'm like, "Oh, I remember this gym now." You know what I'm saying? So I go back there, and that's how this whole career got started. But after I fought Arthur, I just stopped because like I said, my mental health wasn't good. Like I did no physical therapy. I felt like I was just training to one therapy, but still my mindset was still like I really don't love myself. So I'm just here for the, you know what I mean? I don't, don't show up every day, or I just come for sparring, or like,
Hmm.
trying training 2, 3 times a day, but it's mostly like sparring and grappling. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm only working on specific things because my mindset is just like, get hit, or like I just really didn't love myself. Like to be honest, like that's really what it was. So I mean, yes, it's always important to tell somebody if you're not okay. Like if I could have that one message to the world, like because I struggle, I probably still
Hmm.
always going to struggle with it. You know what I'm saying? The PTSD. Like every time if I look at my
Hmm.
scar, I'm always reminded of it. But I'm learning to like really like love myself and forgive myself for all those things, because otherwise it's and so if you don't take your own life, like something internally is gonna go wrong. Like you know what I mean? You may give yourself heart disease, or you have a stroke from just stressing yourself to complete oblivion. Because I've done that too. Like
Hmm.
'cause being in that situation of being shot and being so low, you kind of you're like overly empathetic to people's
Yeah.
situations, and then you're like open to be abused, right? So like that's why I use the verbal abuse as like as a reference point, to
Hmm.
a lot of things, because that that sits with you in here, and
Yeah.
nobody's in there but you. And like when I was in that vegetative state, like I had to like treat it like it was a dream, like what I mean. I've always had to like disassociate
Hmm.
with my whole existence, and like it was easier to like help other people and put myself in the back, because
When did you put yourself first?
I mean it had to be when COVID happened, and I just had graduated personal training school, and then I moved to California because I had a friend call me
Hmm.
and say, "Oh, you should come out here and da 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 da." But I didn't know he was like strung out on coke. I won't say strung out, but he has a cocaine habit and an alcohol problem. He just lives a
Oh.
different lifestyle than I do, and like that's how our parents grew. You know what I mean? Like I'd known him from childhood, so he had moved out there with his mom, and we were like in the same circle or whatever. But like he chose to, you know, go left when I went right.
Hmm.
Obviously, when I went out there, we kind of had like clashed,
Hmm.
and that was like the final straw. Because now I'm in California. I also have a son, by the way. So like, I'm away from my son. You know what I mean? I have to like. There was just like lots of things that I was dealing with that I was just like literally like putting off to like
Yeah.
pursue a dream. I found an MMA gym out there. I got accepted. It's Dan Henderson's gym, Team
Hmm.
Course. I was down there in San Diego. Like I was really like, because that's my therapy, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the only thing that's keeping me grounded. So as long as I can have that wherever I travel, I feel like like I can keep
Hmm.
this together. Like I
Yes.
can look good on the outside, but it's like I'm really like trying to keep the brain together. So
Do you have a backup plan for when you don't have that? Like you don't have MMA, you don't have a gym to
yeah, well,
turn to.
I always knew that getting into MMA, because I got into it when I was like 27 or 28. Like in a gym. Because I always knew before, when I was 18 and before that, like I want to fight, like because that's just what I did. Like I would.
No, but I mean as a backup plan for your therapy.
Oh. Well, I've learned so many things. Well, in those 8 months
Hmm.
of not being able to like use
Yeah.
the bathroom and do things on my own. So like I wouldn't call it meditate. I use music a lot and
Hmm.
visualization. So I mean, I guess you can call that meditation, but I don't want to like make it. I don't want to make it like cookie cutter. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like specifically it was music and certain types of music. Like,
Hmm.
I wouldn't just listen to. So the visualization, meditation, and I would seek out like certain. I won't say it found me, but like certain information,
Hmm.
it would come to me. Like there's a book that I read called Healing with Love,
Okay.
and this guy's like he's a Leonard Laskow, and he's a MD, right?
Hmm.
So he was in the medical field, and he talks about how he uses like tuning forks and like
Hmm.
certain methods that are very esoteric, but he has the research.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff like that, like books and just learning about. I also went through a bunch of religions too, like
Hmm.
religion, religion, religion. But then when I realized they all come from the one story, it was like, all right, now I start putting things together. Then I start realizing I have to, if I want to change things on the outside, I have to go within,
Hmm.
and I don't, and not to make things like super like cookie cutter, but it's like, like the heart center, and we don't want to call it chakras or anything like that, but literally like your heart pumps blood everywhere into your lymphatic system, and if you're stressed out, you can
Hmm.
clog those up, and then you'll have a stroke, and then lots of things happen like diet, and so it's like learning to, and also crying too. I
Hmm.
didn't cry for myself. I had got acupuncture when I was in personal training school in 2019, and the dude was like, he pulled me to the side and was like, yeah, he looked me for real. He looked me dead in the face. He was like, you just need to go home and cry. And I was taken by, I was taken back, like I don't know what to say because he was doing acupuncture
Hmm.
on me, but he used me as an example. And as he was poking me, I kind of like have flashbacks to
Hmm.
be in the hospital bed at Boston Medical. So at Boston Medical, they had a lot of students come in and observe and work on me too. So it wasn't just a doctor that came and saw me the 8th day. Like I really had like people my age, you know what I mean, in my
Hmm.
age group coming in there, and it was like so I felt like I kind of felt weirded out. So I was tensing up.
Hmm.
Pulled me aside and was like, "Yeah, you need to go home and cry." So like learning to cry, to be honest, like that's
Yeah.
a big one. That'll open up the pathways, you know what I'm saying, and just help you relieve stress. Because at the end of the day, we all come into this world by ourselves,
Hmm.
you know, and we have to be comfortable being our best friend, even though, like,
Hmm.
we have lovers and brothers and sisters and mothers. We have to be comfortable. Like, I learned that right at 18. Like, life was like, boop, this is the lesson you need to learn. Boom, you're gonna learn today. Like,
Hmm.
love yourself. Like, and that's been the journey this whole time. Is like piecing myself back together. And like I said, crying is a big one. Visualization and music, for
Yeah.
sure. All that meditation, and really learning to not care what people think. Because obviously, like I had to went back in the
Yeah.
same circle. They want to talk. They want to talk shit about me, and it was just like it just got ugly. But I still show them love. Like you know what I mean. Like that whole narcissistic abusive
Hmm.
relationships, like it spilled over into all of my life in the
Hmm.
household. Like I'm just being friends with people who are just using me, and I'm just all willy-nilly,
Yeah.
like taking it because that's what my mom did till I couldn't take it anymore. I start fighting everybody, and then now I look like a crazy person. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
I'm finally defending myself after 5 or 6 years. Like however
Yeah.
long, like 10 years. I beat somebody up on the street, but don't nobody know. Like he's been trying to bully me my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, well, you're wrong. Oh, he's an alcoholic. He wasn't an alcoholic back then.
Hmm.
Like, well, what's the difference now? Like he's been trying to bully me the whole time. Now I silence it. Now I'm the bad guy because he's got an alcohol problem. Like both of our parents were alcoholics.
Hmm.
Like he was my best friend as a kid. Like what are you talking about? Like we're '80s babies. Like you know what I mean? Like we're just gonna have to get over it. Yeah, for real. Like we're just gonna have to like just be honest. We got to be honest about our pain, especially as Black people too, right? Like they dump drugs into our neighborhood. It is what it is right now. Like you know what I mean? Like that's what they did, but we don't have to do the same thing.
Hmm.
We have a chance to do the opposite.
Now, you're a father. What example are you showing him? Like, for instance, I have a son as well. And my thing was always, it's okay to cry. It's okay to express yourself. I don't care what anybody says. You can come to me. When you need a mother, I'll be your mother. When you need a friend, I will be your friend.
Mm,
Um, my whole thing was, so I see how they always kept things to themselves. I have a brother who passed away at an early age of 46 of a heart attack. And he was the best guy ever. You know, you would always see him smiling, you would always see him laughing. If you ever needed him, he would be there for you. He was that guy, but he was also that guy who needed to be tough, who needed to protect everybody, who couldn't say anything, who couldn't express himself, who was always quiet. And like you never really saw him unless something happened. Like, and you knew something was bad if he showed up because, you know, he was a tough guy. He couldn't say any, not that he couldn't, for whatever reason, he felt that he couldn't say anything because he's a man. So at what point can you be masculine and emotional at the same time without being judged?
oh man, I never, because I think you
Never.
and called gay for it, or like, because that happened a lot in my childhood too, because I didn't really like react negatively or like fight when I was younger. Like, like it really took a lot for me to put hands on somebody, because my mother didn't raise me that way.
Hmm.
Like a complete pacifist. Like even when my dad was going crazy, calling all type of bitches and hoes and
Hmm.
you're dumb and just putting it down,
Hmm.
she'd just be watch quiet. And I never could understand. Like I don't have her level of excellence over the mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have that. Like I just got tired of him. Like, shut up. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I would just swing on them. So and hanging with my friends. And then also I was raised to like that made me like really like love and cherish women. So
Hmm.
and I've had experiences where like, me and women have had squabbles where I have to be like, okay, all right, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be completely honest about that. But that's be due to the alcoholism. Like, you know what I mean? Like their alcohol has made them, they're alcoholics now, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
they're no longer people. Once they get there, they're just gone. So
Hmm.
I have like this, like, I put women like way up here. So, like, even times where, men would like abuse women or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd step in, I'd do something, or like, oh,
Hmm.
why you protecting her? Like, she's for the streets and this. And, you know what I mean? I get put down that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have sex with every girl. Like, shit like that. Like, that hyper masculinity, I wasn't really that, but I hung with all of them, because I was a scared little kid, especially being an extra light skinned little
Hmm.
black boy being in the ghetto. Like, I was overly scared. So I had to like learn to like really toughen myself up on my own. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's never, you're always going to get judged. You're always going to get some weird judgment. Like, look how they judged Adesanya. Like, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Every time I look at a comment, he's a faggot, he's gay, he paints his nails because he takes care of himself.
Hmm.
Who else is going to take care of you? Your mom can't take care of you forever.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, even with my mom, like, I love her to death, but at some point, she's going to have to, she's going to pass away. But, like, how do you want to go? Like, she has diabetes and high blood pressure, like, runs in my family. Like,
Hmm.
so does the poor diet. And I'm like, at what point are you going to pick up the watermelon juice? Like, because you're not going to stress me to death.
Hmm.
I've already felt like I've hit stroke level a few times, like going
Hmm.
homeless in California, and my friend trying to like just tell me like, oh, I gotta get out, I gotta get out, and be on my own, and out living in my car for 6 months. Like, yeah, Daniel was real close to one because I already fight. I'm already like mentally out of it. Things like that. I had to learn. I really been like, life was like, yeah, you're gonna learn to take care of yourself. You gonna learn to worry about you and only you, because this lesson will keep presenting itself no matter who's in front of you.
Yeah.
Because your mind will like, I don't know, it's weird. Like you'll just seek out those abusive people. Like they'll just come to you. They're
Yeah.
like magnets. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Gravitate to your energy because that's all we are, energy, right? Before anything,
Hmm.
they just gravitate and take, and you're all strong. I'm not showing no. And the next thing you know, boom, you have a heart attack.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't seek them out, but they come to me.
But don't you get exhausted when they come to you? As
MMA career has been on hold because I've been helping out teammates, and I'm serious. I'm so serious. I'm dead ass serious. It was been on pause for about 3 4 years because of helping out teammates and just
yeah.
helping everybody else. But in the back of my mind, I know they ain't on the same level. Like I don't put the last 6 years of my life into training. I'll be
Hmm.
training twice a day. Like I don't swear I don't do construction no more. I became a personal trainer. Like I done whole lifestyle morph. Like I'm already a pro fighter. Like so that's already how I think in my
Hmm.
brain. But sometimes I just don't express that to people, and then like so I get frustrated with my coaches because they're like, "You're not here every night," but I'm like, I done did this and this and
Hmm.
like I know it. I know how to get myself. I won't say it's not an arrogance thing, but that's how some people take it. Like they take that confidence, that self confidence
Hmm.
as arrogance. Like
Hmm.
I'm not being arrogant, bro. Like my mom taught me to love myself.
Hmm.
So when you see me loving on people, even homeless people or anybody, like you think like that kindness can be manipulated. Like yeah, I'm gonna get what I can. So like yeah, like how do you put the bottom on? Yeah, I'm being. I should be a comedian
You
because
should be.
the way I'm handled, I'm trying. My ebook is called Mental Gymnastics because I just have mastered this brain. Like
Mhm.
on in my next life, I need to be in a different planet. I don't need to be here. Somewhere else. Put me on a different planet with Tupac and all of them. But put me there. Like that's where I want to be for real because I feel like I've mastered it. Like, how do you find the bottom? I don't know because people have crossed that hard line. People have really crossed that hard line with me. Like, I've woken up on my birthday. People who don't even celebrate their own kid's birthday. I'm not gonna say no names, but people who don't celebrate their own kid's birthday was outside of my house. We don't communicate through cell
Mhm.
phone. I block them. They
Okay.
message me on Facebook, but they'll just show up at my door. Like, that's how crazy like people have crossed those hard no lines. It
Yeah,
really
it's very overwhelming. People don't understand it. And especially when you trauma is on different levels for everybody. My trauma is not your trauma. Maybe I could have handled your trauma, but you couldn't have handled my trauma. I cannot compare my trauma with your trauma. And everybody wants to compete like, well, I went through this and I went through that. Now, if you're saying it because you need to vent and get it out of your system because you haven't found that outlet to do it is one thing. But if you want to compete, you don't do that. You don't compete with people's trauma. You don't do that because there are levels and levels and layers that people are going through. Like I remember during COVID, I decided to paint my freaking front door. Why? I don't know why I decided to paint it, but then I decided that I didn't like the paint anymore. So now I'm stripping it, right? And I
mm-hmm.
was like, oh my God. Like, one, I hate painting. So I don't know why I decided to do that. Two, I realized that this is trauma. Trauma is layers and layers and layers of stuff that you've dealt with, right? And you don't even notice it because you're like, here's one layer of paint. Nope. Okay, I don't like it. I'm going to put another one. And I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to do another one. And then the moment that you realize, you know what? I want to do this right. Now, guess what you have to do? You got to strip it and you got to treat it and you got to do this.
Peel, 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 peel,
Exactly. So it's like,
peel, peel,
crap. Like,
peel.
I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? So it's like, so you're healing one layer and you're getting better, but now you're exposing the other one. And now you treat that one and you get better there. But now, hello, there's another one that you didn't deal with. Men need a safe space. Women have safe space.
I was gonna say that, but I'll let you say it. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
but it's
All
true. I'm not one to be like, oh, man, no, we're not doing that. I
right.
have a father I have brothers. I have a son. I want what's best for them. If they are not safe, if they don't feel safe, if they don't have what they need, how can they really provide for us? Because everybody wants a provider. They want somebody to pursue them. They want all these character traits. But what are we allowing them to do so they can feel safe and strong? Because we want a strong man, right? But in order to have a strong man, it's not just physical strength, it's mental and emotional strength that people need, that men need. So it's like, so what is a masculinity? So when a woman acts a certain way, she's masculine, but when a man does it, he's frowned upon? It doesn't work that way.
Get called faggot. You get called fucking soft. I done every insult I could possibly. Even my own dad did it to me one time. Like, because I used to wear big hoodies, not to cut
Mm-hmm.
you off or anything
No,
like
no
that. I
worries.
was in a big hoodie, but I want my girlfriend. We're kissing. He drive home in his big truck. I go come in the house. What are you, a faggot? The first thing,
But why?
because the hoodie looked like I was under it with a boy. You know what I'm saying? But it was my girlfriend, so it was just like, and then it caused a big argument because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, you can't read. Blah, blah, blah. We just went back and forth. We are on the same team,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like hate other races or hate. We have
Mm-hmm.
to love. We have to love this.
Yourself, yeah.
We have to love that little black body, the little black boy, no matter if he's from Africa. Because I used to talk to Arthur every time after that. But bro, after we fought, so I was gonna be real. I was gonna be real candid and honest. The shit that the UFC gym did to me backstage with my hands wrapped before I was stepping out into that cage. Now, mind you, nobody in that gym had kids but me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Me. I'm the only one taking care of somebody else, another life. Me, and doing what, and still stepping in the. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I already knew I got shot at 18. I'm gonna do as much. I'm gonna rap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Be on the TV. I always tell people that I don't watch TV. I'm gonna be on TV. I said that for years. Years I've said that. You know what I'm saying? Like if I wasn't friends with you, I'd have been. But here I am feeding information to the. I don't want to call them cannon fodder, like because that's that old me that was angry with
Mm-hmm.
them. But like that's me being the God in me, right? That Jesus Christ on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
right? That God that all lives within. You know what I'm saying? So it was like they threatened me, like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna lose your job if you don't wear a UFC gym shirt." So I had to. That's why you see me walk out with a UFC gym shirt and not a Citadel shirt, right? Even my
Mm-hmm.
coach was like, "Man, just let it go." And I'm like, "Man, none of y'all got nobody got. I'm the only one who got a kid, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm using that gym to eat, and everybody else, even some of my other teammates was like, you should have put your mind back in the fight. Like, bro, I got a kid."
Mm-hmm.
I'm 29 years old. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my focus wasn't to fight to get to the top at the time. Like, I was fighting because I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hurt people. Like, I'm going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like, so I go out there, I lose, split decision, because I know I could have won the fight, but, and I'm not making excuses for my losses or anything like that, but like, that was the situation. That was what I was, that was the pressure of
Mm-hmm.
already having to step out there and be. Luckily, I've been shot before, so like I view fighting like I don't.
Luckily.
I'm not. Yeah, the nerves are not like crazy. Like you can see it in my eyes. Like when I'm. If you watch that fight, like, I'm just approaching them. Like I'm just looking for moments to like
Mm-hmm.
really just like do harm because like that was seek and destroy. Like, I'm trying to destroy myself. You know what I mean? Like so if that's how my brain set was. So we lose. I lose. They can say, hey, Arthur wins. I give Arthur hugs. The owner of the UFC gym was like, hey, I'm sorry, bro. I was like, come on, Arthur. We go
Mm-hmm.
smoke a whole bunch of weed with two of my homies in the car for like 2.5 hours, and we're just chilling. I'm dead serious. And then ever since then, I would always message him like, "Hey, I need to come to your gym. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not feeling the love where I'm at. He said, come where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I love you, brother. Do your thing on his birthday. Love you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Saying I love you, like, cause we shared, we shared that experience
Yeah.
together, in front of all the, for the world to see, cause it's on YouTube. Like, it's in the world now. Like, it's in the ethos of
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really out there. So like, I really viewed him like a brother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like for real. And that's how I want him to be remembered. Like, yo, bro, he was a brother to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That night, I was dealing with a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? But I still was like, kept my composure. Like me and Arthur was gonna go chill and vibe out. So I forgot where I was going with all of this. Oh, you're always gonna face judgment for
Yes.
showing your emotions. You know what I mean? Because when I was in the car with Arthur, I'm like, man, I was like, man, I was like screaming about it. And I was naming everybody. Probably why I haven't fought in a while. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was another situation because I got overly depressed after that fight. Like, I didn't leave the house. I started watching Netflix. I didn't watch Netflix, and I don't even watch TV like that. I'm watching
Yeah.
Netflix. I was in the house for like a whole year. I stayed in the house. Like, I don't want to see Cage Titans. Occasionally pop out, see Arthur, give him a big ass hug,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll go back. You know what I'm saying? I won't see him. He went to Alabama. I was even gonna go to Alabama
Mm-hmm.
because that's how much I was messaging him. So it's like, yeah, that shit really it hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I'm
It.
hurt. But my default reaction has always been anger. But the little inner Daniel has always been hurt and let down. You know what I'm saying? And then I just started doing it to myself. But put other people together though, like really the whole time. And then every time you get faced with yourself, I'm like, ooh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me move away from that. I don't want to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking past some of your own problems and things that you need to heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, what's gonna happen.
When did you accept that? Like you said, you know what? Forget it. I don't care about being judged. I don't care. I don't care about this. Like my mind, my heart, my soul needs this.
Had to be being shocked because man, look, for a while I thought I couldn't make babies. Like all type of shit was going through my mind at 18 to like 23. Man, I should, and then having to like no time for my mental health, and then you got people, you know what I'm saying? You got your own mother like lazy or like why you doing it? I'm not gonna say it like that, but like it wasn't that bad. But that's how it felt.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's the thing. When we are healing, where we are in the process in our journey, we receive things the way we're feeling it. So if we're angry and we're mad and we're upset, we're taking the person and we're taking it the way we're feeling. So somebody could be like, hey, how are you? But you're angry. They're like, oh, how dare they say, hey, how are you? We don't take it and we don't hear it the way it was really delivered because we have so much noise going on in our head that we're only taking it the way we're feeling, not the way it's actually being delivered. And that's why I always tell people it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because so many times we say things, that's why I say our words have power. Make sure that when you say it, it's to uplift somebody, it's not to betray somebody, it's not to hurt somebody. Because we can't take that back. What people need to understand, your words have power. Instead of trying to destroy somebody, use those words to be uplifting. Like, and I will always tell people, like, you're enough, you're worthy, you are loved. And I will be on the phone with my nieces, my nephews, and I'm like, yo, I love you. I need them to know that I love them. I need them to know that they are loved because I don't want them to feel the pain of words. I don't want that for them. This is our next generation. What are we going to do? Stop with the sarcasm. Say what it is. And people are like, you're so witty with your sarcasm because it's my defense mechanism. I have to defend myself and I have to be on point with it. I don't do it to hurt anybody. I do it to protect myself. But I want people to live in this world where they don't have to be protecting themselves 24/7, that they don't have to be a clown. They're happy on the outside, but they are dying in the inside. And I tell people are like,
I don't know if you know the painting. Not to cut you off, it's an
no,
old painting in the '80s. It's still on my mom's wall, but it's two clowns.
oh yeah.
One black clown is and he's
Hmm.
smiling, and the other one and he's sad. Always been like it's but verbal abuse, I feel, in my opinion, is worse than
It
physical.
is.
That shit has lived with me my whole life. I gotta live
It
the rest
is.
of my life this way. You know what I mean? And like that's why sometimes maybe I laugh
Hmm.
and make jokes and shit
Hmm.
because otherwise crying is not what I feel like we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And I'm glad I'm getting it out to the world because otherwise I'm sure it'd have ended me if I
Yeah.
don't continue to just like get it off my chest because I feel like I carry it from my sister,
Hmm.
mother, because she don't know she's depressed. Just sit in the house all day. You don't do nothing. Your whole retirement is just the couch. And if you don't have your grandchildren, you're not doing zilch. We know it's depression.
Hmm.
Can't lie to me because I've been there.
Hmm.
Almost been to the grave real early. Didn't have a life. Wasn't gonna have one. So like that level of empathy you think you have, like people word like that's why I got 333 tattooed on my face. Like I mean, I'm at a point, and God is my judge. That's my name in Hebrew. Like I'm at a point where like, I don't judge no human, homeless or rich,
Hmm.
and I don't care what your words say because energy don't lie.
Hmm.
Women lie, men lie, but them numbers don't. And shit ain't 1 plus 1 is not equaling 2. Your mouth is telling me you fine, but nigga, I know you ain't.
Hmm.
I know what it is because I done been on that cliff. I live on the edge, literally staring into the abyss. And the only thing and guess who stares back? Me.
Hmm.
Nobody else. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want it to make it seem like nobody cares what you're going through, but there are people that care. But you have to be in that. You know what I mean? You have to seek that out. You have to seek those type of people out to get it off your chest. You can't
Yeah,
just
but
be.
if we don't love ourselves, we won't be able to accept anybody else being there for us. Not too long ago, like I think it was like last month, I really like looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like I am so sorry for going through all those red flags. I am so sorry for not listening to you. I am so sorry for all of this because if I would have listened to you, you wouldn't have suffered as much as you suffered. I had to forgive myself. And then I just started bawling, crying my eyes out because yeah.
That's what you gotta forgive. I got it. I
Yeah.
got it right here on my. That's who you gotta forgive. And I don't put it out there to be
Hmm.
egotistical. That's just not even an ego thing. Because my ego was shattered when I was 18. Trust
Hmm.
me, that shit all in pieces. I had to put all those little things back together. You know what I mean? So that's who you. I've been. I'm telling you, like I had to I laugh to keep myself from crying
You
because
have to.
I'm telling you, like, and then deal with the people around you that are abusing you and using you, and then they beating you down with your words after you get beat down with words. My dad died when I was 27. I don't remember a day where the only times he was sober. Let me say he was sober. The only times were at the Demick in the Gosner house. There's 2 times that I remember him not drinking 3 to 4 times a day. All right, he'd take me to school drunk. Take me to school drunk. He'd go to work. He make money because he want to drink.
Hmm.
And not I don't know how familiar you are with Boston, but he's a cruise. My grandfather has a whole construction company for the last 70 years.
Hmm.
They have real estate everywhere. They're wealthy. They made 52 million last year or something.
Yeah.
Or get into whatever. So I've seen wealth. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
My mind has been like destroyed because that's why I even started Danielson Fitness because for that reason because
Hmm.
my grandfather can make a business and feed generations. So can I. But pops, I don't know what you got going on, but you need to get together. So that was trauma on top of
Yeah.
you
But
know
you're not only giving the following generations wealth, you're breaking those generational curses. Because if you don't do that, it does not matter the monetary part of it. What does it matter? It's not going to do anything. People might be like, "Oh yeah, well if you have the I get it. Money helps resolve certain situations, but it's not going to break the generational traumas, the generational curses that are coming and we have to stop it. It doesn't even matter at one point. It doesn't matter how old you are. You have to be like, you know what? I'm done. I am done with all this trauma. I am done. And I'm not saying like I'm minimizing anybody's trauma, but we have to take a stand and kind of
I
like,
know I know what you mean because physically you will I'm telling you physically and I had took some mushrooms one time and thank God, just thank God.
mhm,
boom, like the conversation should be done after, because most people think that God is like, some formless ghost in the sky. Like, nah, it's the flowers, the air, it's everything, right? So, and just like George Washington Carver when he was castrated, right, and doing what he was doing all this research for the world still,
Mhm.
while dealing with his own trauma, being castrated and born into slavery, X, Y, and Z, and sold and blah 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 blah. He used to talk to the plants. So the mushrooms, because we'll just be honest, and you can Google, people can Google, you can go fact check. I don't care what nobody says. Like, it helped grow back my neurons that were damaged. It helped me. It pointed me in the direction where I needed to go. It didn't
Mhm.
push me there, because you have to do that internal work.
Yep.
It opened the door. So when I did mushrooms one time, it was like, you got two choices: continue about stressing about, and as I was homeless in California when this happened too in the car. So, and I was with somebody else. So you have two options: continue to hold on to that pain or release it. Because if you hold
Mhm.
on to it, you're gonna have a stroke.
Mhm.
I was already hypertensive. I'm cracking right now still, just from, like, trying to step and healing for a while. I've been trying to do it, and if I'll
Mhm.
put it off, because you helping, you gotta stop to help somebody, because it's the godly thing to do. But the mushrooms are like, you got two choices:
Mhm.
continue living the lifestyle you're living, where you just put yourself on the back burner, or really put yourself first. Like, you got a real decision maker now, because the money ain't gonna save you. Like,
Mhm.
and you gotta be there for your kid,
Yeah.
because you already got a co-parent, right? Because her trauma. So, well, backstory with her trauma is being abandoned here in America. She's full blood Cape Verdean, but she has
Okay.
abandonment by both her parents.
Oh.
So, and she'll go like that, and what does that do? Trigger my verbal abuse.
Yeah.
I shell up and get down, because now that's my woman. Now she's
Mhm.
supposed to build me up. Now I'm like, just sinking, really. Now I'm questioning myself, like,
Mhm.
am I worth anything? So my my biggest thing with my son, you gotta love yourself. I don't care what goes on.
Mhm.
You have to love yourself. I don't care if daddy's not here. I don't care if your leg gone. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Whatever situation, you must love yourself, bar none. But I had that conversation with when I took the I don't even call it psychedelics. When God pointed me in the direction that I needed to go, and I took the external thing that opened the door, which was the mushrooms. It was like, this is what you need to do.
Mhm.
You got two options: go left or go right. So I went right. I'm already here in California. My day one, just like literally, like saying I don't have memories without these people. That's how close knit my
Mhm.
circle. I had to cut them off. Dog on all street. I had to cut the cords, and we're not talking about just the cord physically.
Mhm.
You have to internally forgive them too, right? And then
Mhm.
also forgive yourself. You have to cut that cord and then forgive yourself. I called it a funeral. Like, I had
Mhm.
I had funerals for our relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because, and it's not hate, because I love everybody,
Mhm.
races, all walks of everybody. I love everybody. So it wasn't hate, but it was like, you had to have that funeral for that relationship to
We do.
preserve myself, because the first law of this universe is self-preservation. Otherwise, you out of here. That's what's gonna happen. Like, that's, and not to be like brutally honest or like harsh about it, but that was really the lesson that I was presented with. Like, no school taught me that. No personal training degree, no television, no religion that I've been through, no, I don't never say been through, but studied, or because I like to learn. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
learning is like my one of my first loves. Like, as a kid, you always want to play, learn new things.
Yeah.
None of that was able to. Not even I don't even think talking to people, having a therapist, because all they're gonna do is point me back to me and tell me the steps that I need to do. Well, if that was the case, why am I going to you in the first place anyway? I'm just gonna go to the source. Just go to the God within.
Mhm.
People like to say it's the God out there. No, I know. I remember who I am.
Mhm.
Back in Egypt or anywhere in the world, back in the esoteric, man, know thyself.
Hmm.
Long as I can remember who I am, I hold on to that love for myself because the world is designed for you to do the opposite. So you got to keep this tight and release this correct, this tight and this right.
Hmm.
Because sometimes they don't communicate properly. They may have arguments that nobody know about.
Hmm.
Then they start fighting and they start squabbling. You know? I gotta take life one day at a time. Because if I
I don't
don't,
do that. I
I'll
do
be
it a couple hours at a time or even a couple minutes.
I'll be in the future. I'll be or 20 years in the past. And that's what I had to learn in California. Like when you cut that cord, you gotta like let it go in
Hmm.
here and in here.
Hmm.
Because if you don't forgive your parents for not being what you thought, you know what I'm saying, what
Hmm.
you or what society perceives you to think that they are. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I mean about society. Will try to make you hate yourself. It's all a
Hmm.
self hate scam.
You
That's
have to
what
change everything about yourself to fit in.
I didn't get shot because I was being Mr. Goody Two Shoes. I got two. I come from a two-parent household. Didn't fit in. Don't fit in that circle. You know what I mean? Like I fight. I love fighting, but that's not my life.
Hmm.
Because I know at one point I got to put it down because I had to put it down before. Had to put your whole life down before.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like I know I flirt with it. I can always put it down. I can pick it up. I can put it back down. That's how I've been like the last. I can go into the gym off the couch and still feel like what I'm saying. Like I don't. Not saying that I wasn't training hard, but like that's the
So your
craziness.
mindset is
Do you know?
key.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's I done been to such dark places. Like
Hmm.
what I'm saying. Like this is not. This is like love. You know what I mean? Like I love to do it. Like I really love it. Like my whole trauma has made me love violence. And if I don't exercise that inner, take anime, like Naruto, just like how Israel Adesanya say, like that's
Hmm.
that's like real parallels to life. Like art
Hmm.
always art will always reflect life. And I hate to use him as an example. He's just an example because you see him on TV because he chose to love himself more than the trauma that he was around. Because he's got his documentary and his thing right for being emotionally intelligent enough to set boundaries and when no is no, like no is no. Like we can't just overlove everybody and not love yourself. Like that's not how life is designed. So no, I'm losing my point. What losing my I know that's part of the PTSD too, right? Like
And it happens, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to just be you and be in the now.
oh
We
yeah,
don't have
fitting
to go
in,
back.
fitting in society standards. That's where I was going with it. Like this is
You're
why
back.
you have to for real. Like that's why you have to like fight for you. You have to fight for you. If you're
Hmm.
not gonna fight for no, if you're gonna fight for everybody and not fight
Hmm.
for yourself, like that's a
Yeah,
losing
but
battle.
that's the thing. We have to fight for ourselves. I have to fight for me. It has to be a point where I say, I matter. I'm enough. I need to stand up for myself. Nobody is going to do it for me. I cannot depend on this person. And it's not that we can't depend on anybody, it's that we need to be self sufficient. And I always taught myself, it's like, you know what? I've gone through so much and I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And you know what I mean? I see things in life and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want this. I don't want to act like that. I don't want people to see me like this because it could easily be misunderstood in people's perspective. You know, like there's a picture and it's like, what is it? Like, um,
6 and 9,
yeah, exactly.
and the dude's like, "That's 9," and the other guy's on the side like, "That's a 6," and it causes war
Exactly.
because of their perspective.
And but it's okay. Like, we need to be okay. We need to normalize that everybody sees things differently, that everybody processes things differently. I go around, and this is like completely random. I go around and I smile at everybody because I don't know what they're battling. I don't know what they're going through. Like when you see me at the fights and I'm interviewing or taking pictures. If you don't feel comfortable doing an interview, it's okay. I'm not going to push you. I am not going to make you feel uncomfortable. I need you to know that you're in a safe space. I need you to know that I am not here to attack you. I am not here to get information. I need to make sure that you're okay. I need to make sure that your state of mind is okay. I need to make sure, and it doesn't affect me at all. In a way, it does, because I feel like if we're looking at a movie and I entered your life and I could have been that person that smiled at you, that actually listened to you, could have changed the situation. That's how I view things. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but at least I need to know and have peace of mind that you're okay. And like to remind you, huh?
Man, look, that's why I listen to homeless people. There was a time I'm a whole homeless account. I'm sleeping at a hotel one night. I'm gonna do my personal therapy thing because like I'm Cape Verdean and my mom is African American, so I'm
Mhm.
really closely tied to Africa. That's why I mean that's why I didn't even want to fight Arthur.
Mm,
You want to be honest with you want my honest in my heart. They could have gave me any other opponent in the world, and I'd have been ready to smash.
mhm,
Well, because you had to put another brother in front of my face, I went back to when in slavery when they used to make the two fight. You know, one get beat up, another one get the girl and food and everything for that. That's the only, and that's what I mean. Like saying these things is healing and relieving,
mhm,
because sometimes even saying that, I feel like I'm gonna get hate from white people, or I'm just gonna get hit. When I love everybody,
mhm.
my brother is white. He's half white. He's Italian. You know what I'm saying? So like Daniel's had to deal with in my own, and I battle this in my own mind. Like I'm mentally ready to combat anybody with the truth, because for one, the truth doesn't need me. The truth can defend itself. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like a, I'm, I'm like a jester. Like I like literally like I'm like a jester to it, because like that's where I'm at with it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like I just maneuver around it because it really doesn't even need me. And then when people see you smiling and happy and things, like it drives them crazy, especially when they deal with their own internal demons and narcissistic
Yeah.
people. Not the people that need the love,
Mhm.
the ones that need to love themselves, but they're harming others. Not the one that needs to love themselves and loves others. Not those type of individuals.
Mhm.
We're talking about the narcissistic ones. It eats them up, eats them alive to see you
Mhm.
alive. But sometimes I have to like keep it under wraps, because if you display that, especially in the ghetto, they'll kill you. Can't be happy around unhappy. Like that's why I had to cut a lot of people off, because even some family members, because
Yep.
because
Mhm.
again, don't I use it as a reference point, but being shot and having that near death experience, like it don't matter if you family to me, like it don't matter if you friend to me, it don't matter like it don't matter if I made a baby with you.
Mhm.
If you cross hard lines, it's even if you try to keep me from my son, take my son from me, because the system does what it does. Even through all of that, my son will know, because he's a male, he's not a woman. And no matter how much you fall prey to the things that I told you about, the message will always be love yourself. Just close your eyes, love yourself. Like all of that doesn't matter.
But what does that look like
Loving
as
yourself,
a man? What
no,
is self care is going to a bar and drinking? Like
no,
what is it for a man?
watermelon. And that's right. I swear to God, because smoking and drinking is going to dehydrate you. Especially if you smoke blunts and tobacco, you're going to give yourself heart disease, and eventually you're going to have a stroke.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not above the negativity. Not even gonna call it negativity, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not above the things that was done to us. Like I suffer from the same trauma that
Mhm.
we all suffer from here in America, Africa, everywhere. Like you know what I mean. And just like in Germany, how you can't go nowhere without knowing about the Holocaust. Well, you nobody should go nowhere in this world without knowing. Like
Yeah, but men
overall,
don't have that outlet.
I,
Men
I
aren't allowed to say that something happened to them.
but you know what? I can fight. I'll fight back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can.
You're
But
right. You're absolutely
there are
right.
other people that don't have that.
My mouth is wild. I'll get real hot
But
with
okay, and you were in your environment that made you protective, that made you that way, right?
Yeah,
There are people who have grown up in an environment where it's been so much, or they didn't have as much
no,
understanding.
I can feel it. That's why I empathize with them, even though they hurt me, and that's what I mean. Even about with narcissistic people, like
No, but I'm saying like these other male, right? They
that's
don't
what I'm.
have the voice. They don't
Well,
have it.
you're right.
Because some of them have been beat down so much that they lost their voice. Thankfully,
Ours
you
is.
didn't lose your voice.
I had a best friend named Adi. His daughter is gonna be 10. No, she'll be. Yeah, she'll be 10, just like my son will be 10. But guess what? He's not here because he went through it with his baby mother, and
And that's not right. Who
he
he didn't have
he
an
did
outlet.
well.
Where can men have an
Not only
outlet?
did Adi is his name. You know what I mean? Adi motherfucking Adilson Mendez. God rest your soul. I love you, brother. I love you forever, even on this side and the other side. He had nobody. I met his brother Ja at the corner store because I used to. I'm a badass video game player. Like I'm not. I feel like I could be a pro gamer if I wanted to. Like that's how for real. Like I've been in so many circles. Like I
Hmm.
dabbled in all type of societies and walks of life. Like I never just stuck to one thing. So I met them. I met them playing video games, and their friend circle was my friend circle.
Hmm.
They had no friends. So when he was going through what he was going through with his son's mom, I seen it. I seen it decline. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, cause he was already. I won't say he was already broken because of the home life. You know, his pops wasn't there, so like he went to the military. That failed. You know, he's this big 6'9" awkward dude. Like really, like almost 7 feet. Like he's a Cape Verdean giant. Like, I look at that family. I look at his brothers. Like they're like brothers to me. They're not even friends. Like
Hmm.
when you with me, you family. Like I don't
Hmm.
do friends because they'll screw you over. Even family too, but you know,
Hmm.
I still I hold you here. I hold everybody there. The whole world is here. So I saw the decline in him, and when she got him arrested, 6'9",
Hmm.
small white girl, he hit me. She ain't got no scars. His face is all scratched, so he got restraining order, so he can't go back to the apartment he paid for. Go figure, right? Gets out of jail, calls me. Can you help me get my car? I'm all right, cool. We driving, having a conversation. You can just see this. It's like,
Hmm.
been in a 12-round fight with Floyd Mayweather, Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, and Roberto Duran all at once. Big 6'9", giant of a man, could get any woman in the world if he wanted to. All he had to do was just stand up, and he could get women. It's not hard. Defeated. I'm like, bro, you're gonna have to care
Hmm.
about yourself, bro. Like I know what's going on here. Like you know what I mean. I've been on the dark road. We get to go get his car, so he's got paperwork for him to get his child. No paperwork. Because when they put the restraining order on him and he quote unquote violated because he had to be around his house, now he don't got no paperwork. Now now he's like literally like now you can see the
Hmm.
defeat. Drive him back. You know, we drive back to his mom's house. He stays there for 2 days. It's dead winter too, and I feel like wintertime has a little bit to deal with our
Hmm.
depression too. But that's sidebar. For real, 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days go by. He's there. He's looked defeated. I don't hit. I don't. You know what I mean. Those 2 days. I don't. I'm not with. I got. You know. I got my son. You know. So like I'm going through it with my son's mother. So like I'm trying to like keep myself together. So 2 days go by. I get a call from his brother. He's like, yo, a D passed away. So everybody thinks Melissa did it. His baby mother did it. I just got this feeling. And I mind you, Adi is an intelligent human being. He went to the military, scored high. Like this dude is like really super bright, laid back. But again, no friends, no outlet. I don't even know. I don't even know how. I didn't even know how to handle that.
Hmm.
I probably still don't. You know, because thinking about it doesn't make me cry. It used to make me frustrated. It wasn't enough to put, it just wasn't enough. I don't know. I think I struggle with that too. Like that's part of my trauma because while I wasn't enough. I didn't do enough to get my dad to stop drinking. I guess I struggle with that too. Like that's always gonna eat at me too. But I can't allow it to, pull me into it. Because I have people that I gotta be there for, but I also have to be there for myself. Through all of this, I still gotta be that warrior for myself. Like you really gotta be a warrior for you. It's really a fight. Life is like a not survive. I don't even want to call it like survival of the fittest, but like you have to, in order to, in order to survive, you gotta have these mechanisms. Like you know what I mean. And as humans, we're loving creatures anyway. You need connection. If you
Yeah.
don't hold the baby, it will die.
Yeah.
You need connection. You need to seek out being touched.
Hmm.
A PTSD trick that I got from somebody that
Yeah.
was in the
One of the
military.
coping
Oh,
skills.
yeah, you gotta do stuff like this. Like she tells me all the time to do stuff like that when people overstep my boundaries.
Yeah.
Because we already talked about that. Like no is never enough. You want
And that is so triggering. That is so triggering. Like when you set your boundaries and the person refuses to accept it. Like I had a conversation with somebody and I was like, look, like this really bothers me. And it's a family member. And I'm like, this really bothers me. I am letting you know that when I ask you to do this and you don't, you completely ignore me and you do exactly what you want to do, it really sets me back. It makes me feel a certain way and I don't like it. They're responsible. Doesn't matter. I'm still gonna do it, and it's just like so. In my head, I'm thinking like you're telling somebody who's a survivor of all these different things that I cannot say no. Like you are removing my voice. You're removing this boundary that I set up. Maybe they're bad at living their own stuff,
they are
which is
hurt,
okay.
hurt
But the
people.
thing is, if you wouldn't like me to do that to you, why are you doing it to me? And that's what I do a lot. Is like, I remember a friend of mine, he was going through something and I knew he needed the help. And I knew he needed the help. So like I overstepped my boundaries and I helped them. You know what I mean? And then like later on, I apologized. And I'm like, look, I am really sorry to him and his wife. And I was like, look, I am really sorry that I overstepped my boundaries. I know that wasn't acceptable, but I know that you needed it, and I knew this was going to help you. So I really want to apologize because I know I shouldn't have overstepped my boundaries, but I also knew that if I didn't, that step that they needed to get to the next level. So it wasn't like I was overstepping my boundaries to hurt them. I apologized later because I knew
I'm
maybe
good at. I'm not good at that part.
what apologizing.
For doing what you're saying that you do. I've done that numerous times, but sometimes I won't apologize.
I do because it's like I've
Apologizing for overstepping those boundaries, even though I am overstepping boundaries, is because I know you're in a dark place and you're about to do some
yeah,
crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's usually what it is. And people like
and then I'll apologize later for it. What can a man do to express themselves before it leads to anger and do it in a healthy way? Because I've been around people where a man can't be passive. And it's not that they can't, they can be, but society doesn't allow them to.
nope, you'll be sweet, gay, you'll be a pushover. You will get pushed over. Not only will they call you some feminine things and sweets and all the things under the sun, when they're really not not to hate on anybody out there in the world because your sexuality is your sexuality, but a lot of those people that we're talking, they're projecting. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? When somebody's angry, they're projecting. So I've kind of learned to be like, okay, I guess these are really not, you're not calling me gay. There's something about yourself that you don't love, so you have to be hyper masculine, and like that's a
Why does being aware of your feelings, aware of your emotions, make you less of a man? wouldn't that make you more of a man because you're more aware? That makes you, that should level you up. Why is
All
it?
right, listen. If you want the ladies or if you want women to love you, it's not the size of your boat. It's not none of that nonsense, my friend. You have to be open and emotional, and you have to express yourself. Because if you don't, you you catch more bees with honey. And that's not even, again, that's not even an ego thing, and people don't even think of it as an ego because really I don't care. But that's the truth. That is the God honest truth. Catch more bees with honey. And I know these are weird, corny little phrases and sayings, and even doing things like this. People used to. I've been called weird my whole life, to the point where I just own it and I accept it now. Like that's,
Mhm,
you know what I mean. Before I used to brush it to the side and have to be tough. It's making me. I'm having like an identity crisis because
mhm,
that shit'll drive you to. It'll drive you. You know, it will really do that because now you have an identity crisis. And,
mhm,
don't be a fighter too. On top of that, like you really got to check your mental health because you're doing things that the world are not willing to do. There's thousands of. I don't even do it for money. I
mhm,
could care less. I really could. I really don't care about the money. I don't do it. I don't do it for money. Like I really like love violence. Like that's where I'm at. Like you know what I mean. Like that that smiling clown and that sour clown. They both won and they merged like the Joker. Like you know what I mean. Like the Joker is the closest thing to mankind. Batman is like he's not the hero. He's like the establishment. You know what I'm saying? Batman is the establishment. Joker is the common man. His wife can't feed his kids. Boom, his whole life gets turned upside down. Now he's mm, and the only thing he can do is laugh it off. Because if he doesn't laugh it off, so like that's the closest thing to like what will happen to you if you don't if you don't ex- if you don't open up that heart and express it. And it can be whatever. It could be dance, cry, go hug. You don't know how many. I've got more than one mother because I look at some other women like mothers more than my own
mhm.
mother. I don't come to my mother. I don't come to my mother. And don't. I don't. My mom. I love my mother. She's loved me to. There was times where I do laundry. She still fold my laundry if
Mhm.
I get upset about certain things like that because she's like so like I've been to like other women and cried my heart. I couldn't stand my dad. I just go cry to them. Just cry. Nothing I can do. But cry. Can't fight. You can't argue with certain. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
Mhm.
People that are hurt.
Right.
Like the best thing you can do is love them till they can love themselves.
Mhm,
I have to love myself because I've been taught not to.
mhm,
Point blank. Period. And I've had to learn to be that warrior, real warrior for everybody, not just our race, but all my heroes got FBI files, family, all of them. All my heroes have FBI. Malcolm X, Martin Luther, Fred Hampton. They all have FBI files. Those are my heroes, and I'm always going to stand on that. That's always made me be a rebel, and I think just having that mentality has helped me a lot. Because otherwise, I just break down and I
mhm.
lose my mind. So I'm to be honest, I lose my mind. I would just lose my mind. We can't just gloss over the trauma and then think we're gonna be all okay.
Mhm.
Epigenetics. You can pass down trauma through your genes.
Yeah. But that's why we have to be the stop.
That's
We have to stop it.
yeah, well, absolutely. And this is why I'm saying dance, music,
Mhm.
meditation, express yourself. It doesn't matter
But
who.
how? I'm going to go back. As a man, can you do it? Because
Well,
remember, not every man has the support.
you gotta treat it like a fight. It's mental gymnastics. You are in the gym preparing your brain for when nobody's cheering for you. They switch on you. girlfriend pulled the rug on from under you. Your
Hmm.
baby mother pulls the rug from underneath you. Shit's not going your way. The shit storm is just piling. They throw this at you, keep your kid from you, or put you in an abusive relationship. It's coming.
Hmm.
Shit storm is coming. Got to be ready to be like, close your eyes, take that deep breath, and prepare yourself for battle. I love myself because that's what you're gonna have to tell yourself. You're gonna have to learn to, like I said, you're just gonna have to, same way you prepare yourself for a fight, and it takes you 2 months to only fight for 10 minutes, or however. I put years into this, even
Hmm.
before the gym, practicing the 1-2. Not many moves, but only a few moves. You know, like how Bruce Lee used to say, "Be like what," like you know. And again, I don't like to be cliche, but all these people that have been highlighted in life, like that's not an ego thing for them. Like they're
Hmm.
really trying to display a certain message to the world because that confidence,
Yeah.
that self confidence, is being attacked,
Yeah.
and you have to. I won't say put yourself in that perspective, but you have to prepare. You know, proper, what is it, the 4 P's, proper preparation beats poor performance, you know. And that's what you have to prepare your mind and your heart for it, you know.
Hmm.
Like how Bob Marley used to say is, people are going to hurt you, like, you know what I mean, like you are going, your heart will be pulled at. The key to it is finding unconditional love. Well,
What is unconditional love?
learning to forgive yourself for your shortcomings when you didn't when you didn't, computer died. It's all good.
You're hitting every.
I knew I was gonna die, so it was any second. But at that point, learning to forgive yourself for not listening to your intuition or the, you know, that God within, that inner voice,
Yeah.
because only you knows what's best for you.
Hmm.
I don't care what we've been taught, what they tell you. This is the truth brought to you live and direct, not because I need to be here or she needs to be here. It's because Arthur needs the world and the ethos to know this. This is brought to you by your brother, Arthur Mupofu. Okay, don't even take me out of this. Take the ego out of this. Not even my message, because we all hurt. You know what I mean? And nobody's suffering is greater than others. But unconditional love is forgiving yourself when people step over those boundaries. Forgiving yourself when you extended yourself when you shouldn't have, to where it puts you in a situation to where you could potentially lose everything. And we're not just talking about physical things, your mind,
Hmm.
that love for yourself, that confidence to say, I can. Once you start saying I can't and I can't deal and this pain is too great, that's what starts to happen. It starts to manifest, starts to creep in. So that unconditional love is forgiving your father for not being there, or forgiving your mother for being in a verbally abusive relationship or an abusive relationship, period. It's forgiving them for if they abandoned you, if, like I said, hurt people. But you got to learn to realize, like, you put yourself in that situation. You saw the red flags, like, you have to forgive yourself for that.
Hmm.
You may have a child, you may not have a child, but if that child is there, now you know what you have to do. You have to teach that child self love, regardless of the situation or the circumstances that we're under. And that unconditional love starts with you. It starts with really assessing, what does Daniel like, or whoever you are? What do I like? What do I want from me? What makes the inner child happy, right? Because we're all childs at heart.
Hmm.
You're just freaking energy. You have a body. The body dies, but the energy doesn't. It only transfers. So you're only here for a short amount of time. So how can I build a better relationship with me? Not my mom, not my girlfriend, right? Because these are external sources. They're gonna come. They're gonna go. Sit, and you have to really sit with yourself and assess what makes you happy. What can you tolerate? What can you not tolerate? You must put a bottom on your cup of kindness and empathy and joy. And these conversations are not had enough either because it's like taboo. You also have to forgive yourself for allowing that person to use you. You also have to forgive that person for they know not what they do. Like, not to, and I don't even like referencing the Bible. Words are words, right? Words are energy. Words can build, or words can destroy. Man, know thyself. You were built. You
Hmm.
were born to build or destroy. Only have two options, yin and yang. You can be you can be the most godly or you can be the most devilish motherfucker you want to be on the face of the earth. And there's really no consequences behind it because you are allowed to do all of this. You must know who you are and be grateful. That's another thing too. An attitude of gratitude is like that's like shit. That should fucking apple a day. Should be attitude of grat for real. Attitude of gratitude. Another thing too. You can't heal in a place that broke you. Or I'm gathering the data so I can give it back
Hmm.
to everybody who's suffering in silence.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm learning to again, what does self love look like? Unconditional love, just that. Even if they cross the boundaries, know when to pull back before it starts to harm you. And everything that I'm saying to do for like externally, you do that for yourself. You journal, you journal it. You say, okay, I was angry today, or this emotion passed through me. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Hmm.
allow it, you sit with it, you assess it, and then you give it its space, and then
Yeah.
let it go. Because if you don't, it'll sit here or sit here, and you'll be tense all day.
Hmm.
You'll just be on edge. Even though when you see people, you're like,
Yeah. Nobody knows what's behind that smile. Nobody knows what's happening, what's in your mind, what's in your heart, what you're feeling,
nope,
what nobody knows. And even if you have the opportunity to sit with somebody and they tell you, it's still
still,
not everything that they're going through.
no.
So instead of being upset, and we shouldn't get upset
Oh
with
yeah,
them.
don't be quick to judge.
Hmm.
At my father's funeral, I said this. A lot of people took his alcoholism as him trying to like put you down or like verbally beat you down, but it was a cry for help.
Hmm.
And the family, I was speaking to my family specifically. And if you're out there, you know who you are. You know, his brother and people who run the business. I'm like, he had a problem for real. I'm like, he had a problem, and all of you come from broken homes. Y'all don't share the same. All of you don't share the same mother and father, so you know what it is. Like he was a bastard child. He struggled with this, and the third. But you know what I mean. They quote unquote said they tried to help him out, but it's like you know what it was. Like when he's lashing out, being angry, like he's hurt.
Hmm.
He's hurt, and he needs assistance. And not giving him assistance was not the right thing to do. That was the wrong thing to do.
Hmm.
Now he feels alienated. Now he feels isolated. Now he feels like even in his own household, nobody give a fuck about him.
Hmm.
Keep drinking or whatever. Let the worst be the worst. And I told everybody, I'm like, if somebody is you're lashing out that way, making a big scene, they're probably hurt
Hmm.
and they need to be loved on. That's what needs to happen.
And that's the thing. We all go through something different. We don't all have the same healing journey.
Oh no.
What works for me doesn't work for you, and what works for you
Nope.
doesn't work for me. And we have to be understanding of that. We have to understand that we all come from different circumstances. And like I said, not everything is going to work, but we can't give up. We we shouldn't encourage the self checkout. It's not it's not ideal.
No, and
A
people,
lot of people a lot of people will suffer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, it's the people around you that suffer the most. And then they get left with questions. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not here, so it's not like you got to deal with a lot of that. And I equate it to like a video game because I'm a video game nerd when I want to be. It's like you can't not complete
Yeah.
the
So,
game. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like you're gonna have your levels.
Hmm.
Some are harder than others, you know, but you're here to complete the game. So complete it in old age. Like let that be your exit.
Yeah.
Don't let it be your own hand. Like you know what I'm saying. Don't stop yourself because you never know. Like you may be depressed today and rich the next day
Hmm.
and have everything you ever wanted in life, but you'll never know that. People don't give each other their flowers while they're alive. They wait till they're no longer here, and then they're like, "Oh, he was a good
Yeah.
person." Da 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 da. Me and Arthur used to talk about like, "What's your goal?" He's like, "Oh, UFC." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." But really, I was lying. I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I fight because I'm motherfucking psychotic. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like that. That's why I do this. I didn't have dreams to do. Fuck the UFC. Like they're a fucking shitty organization that fucking manipulates and pimps fighters. Like who even gives a fuck about any of that? You know what I'm saying? And then I feel like it's Roman games, and I just go down a whole wormhole of facts and truths that are just in my heart. That I can't. That's that communication.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like this is some bullshit. But you do like to fight. You know what I'm saying? It does relieve stress, keeps you fit, keeps you healthy. Come on, get together. Line up. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Line it together, line it up. So it was like, yeah, I used to communicate all the time, but I just kept it to myself. Like UFC wasn't a goal or a
Hmm.
dream, but me and him used to really communicate. And on his birthday, I love you, bro. After his fight, go kill, go do. You know what I'm saying? Like utmost. Like always try to uplift people and give them their flowers
Yeah.
while they're alive.
Unfortunately, this podcast was inspired due to his passing.
I know, and that's why previously it's like it's it feels kind of selfish, but again, this message
Yeah.
needed it needs to be out there.
What's one story or one time or talk that you had with him that stands out?
I told you.
Oh, that I didn't know if that was the only
I'll say
one. I
it.
didn't.
I'll say it again. I'll say it again. We fist fight. We kick at each other. He kicked me in the face a whole bunch of times. He gave me a bunch of man hugs against the cage and a couple fucking love knees to the stomach. You know what I'm saying? And I threw some punches back, gave him some love right hand. I tried to crack his jaw off that way. And then at the end of the fight, we hugged.
Mhm.
I said, "I love you, bro." You know what I'm saying? Like, we exchanged that moment. My coach looked upset, like, you being more friends with him than fighting him. I'm like, well, come on, man. Like he's like me, bro. He's like my brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know him personally, but this whole this whole environment and how we're meeting each other just doesn't sit well with my heart. But in my
Mhm.
brain, I'm a warrior, so I'm gonna fight. But and then the shit that happened backstage, it was like then we exit the cage together. I see said person. They're like, "Oh, I apologize." I'm like, "Man, fuck that. Come on, Arthur, go ahead." You know what I mean? For real. We go in the back. He's like, "Oh man, my shins hurt from you know what I'm saying from kicking and da 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 da." I'm like, "My shins hurt too." You know what I'm saying? He's like, "Oh, my shoulder, this da 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 da." We go get checked by the doctors. He's like, he got a little bit of. I'm like, I got my homies. you know, because he was gonna go straight to the after party. I don't like partying in Plymouth, like, you know what I mean. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, like, it just it's a little out of my environment and out of my way. So, like, and I don't like drinking anyway, you know. But
Right.
that's nobody's, you know, my trauma is my trauma, so I
Mhm.
work through that, right? So I'm like, nah, I ain't going to the bar. I got my two homies with me, about to go smoke some weed. So boom, I go upstairs, I go grab my shit. I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody, you know. My teammate Don was like, you could have mentally put yourself back together out there, da 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 da. But in my head, I'm like, man, I got a kid, and you know, that's how I'm making money. Yeah, I know the goal, the UFC, but really, I don't care about the UFC. Like, you know, that's kind of like your goal. You know what I mean? I fight because I just like violence. Simple as that. And I'm okay with gym wars
Mhm.
sometimes. Like, I have. And side note, like I have to pay for medicals. I have to
Yeah.
pay to do the. I gotta, and I'm representing the gym. Like I have to do all this paying when I'm the one stepping in there. Like, so me
Mhm.
and Arthur, I'm outside in the back in the parking lot. He comes out with his bag, you know, go right to the car. Start with me, my friend Matthew, James, and Arthur, and we're just. He's like, you got Fonto? I'm like, yeah, it's blunts, but it's really, and I again, like, I'm like, it's bad for your health, but you know, it's something that we do in the hood. So we rolling up blunt after blunt. He's got a big bag of weed. I got weed. Matt got weed. James got weed. We just all in the car, like, and like I said, and I'm just releasing everything.
Mhm.
Like, fuck the UFC, Jim. I'm just like, you know, I'm just really upset. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just like name dropping and like, he's like, damn. He's like, that happened. He's like, well, you need to find a new gym or I train at Sit Your Tongue, you know, on Saturdays, you know, when I'm not at SBG and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I need to be like you.
Mhm.
Like, you putting that career first, you know? Like, I don't know your all your personal life, but like as far as like your career is going and like you it seems like you putting yourself first. So like I need to be like you. That's all I kept thinking, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Because then he moved to Alabama, right? He got he's building, you know what I mean? And it was like, you know, I tried to go to California, but I'm still holding on to trauma. So he goes to Alabama, I go to California, you know what I mean? I get accepted to Team Quest, but I got a cokehead friend that I'm like stressing
Mhm.
I thought about where I could have just easily dropped him off to the wayside. But you know what I mean? Like, that's where we were going. And we communicate on Facebook, you know, on his birthday. You know what I'm saying? When I see it, happy birthday, bro. Da 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 da. Congratulations on your fight. He's like, yeah, how you doing? What you doing? I'm like, I'm over here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. He's like, oh, you should come out here to Alabama. Like, always like offering to like
Mhm.
be that. It's like he's a little bro, but he's big bro. I'm older. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
but you know, I don't look at age as wisdom is wisdom. Wisdom has no age. You know what I'm saying? Somebody younger than me could have gone through way more than I have. You know,
Mhm.
trauma can surmount my trauma insurmountably. You know what I'm saying? Like being shot in the dick in the stomach, huh? Nothing. What you've been through is far worse. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's how I kind of looked at him as,
Mhm.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like a little older brother. Like, damn, he's really on his shit about his career. Like, he really like put off smoking weed to like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, you know, Arthur's really like, you know what I'm saying? He's got, if little bro can do it, I can do it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that's how me and his interaction always have been. Even though we don't, you know what I'm saying, even though I wasn't seeing him all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we shared that those moments in the cage, it is like, you know, it's like we spiritually tied to each other, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I can feel, you know what I mean? Like I can feel, so I, you know, I love you, bro.
Mhm.
Congratulations on your fight. Even though I know he get it from, you know what I mean, like the people that support him. But I feel like it's a little different from somebody that, you know, that was my biggest memory with Arthur. But still, again, I tell you, after the fight, and then every time he fought there on after,
Mhm.
congratulate him, you know what I'm saying? Get ready, go do your thing, or like, you know, you should come train out here, and like I'll think about it. I can't just
Mhm.
always the thought of uprooting and just leaving my son, just, you know, it just bothers me. I don't want him to feel like
Yeah.
I abandoned him. You know what I mean? Because that's a whole, you know, like abandonment. Like, who you gonna talk to if you feel like you ain't got nobody? Like, you already
Mhm.
feel like you're alone, right? So like that's like double fuck.
Yeah.
That's something that I can't never. I can't never fathom that. You know what I mean? Because I had both of my parents. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Even though it was like a fucked up situation, that I feel it is. You know, it may have to not comparing, but like I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that alone feeling, you just can't never. That's
Yeah.
and then abandoning yourself is even worse because that's what I feel like depression is.
Mhm.
It's abandoning taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? And that can be a whole host of things. Like you can still go to work,
Yeah.
socialize, but there's other areas of you that's failing.
Before we conclude, is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I think I did a lot of verbal judo. I guess in closing, we have to understand that us brothers and sisters in the diaspora, whether it be Africa, Iceland, Netherlands, no land, man's land, that our trauma doesn't make us different from one another. One may feel greater than the other, but it's not about comparison, and that we need to love us as much as possible. And that needs to be talked about a lot more. We need to do the same and not allow certain things to repeat globally as the human race, black men, black women, and all races heal all of that trauma because when we talk about it, that's part of the healing. Ignoring it and ignoring that voice, that whole this is real.
Hmm.
Silencing that voice, that's like silencing the spirit.
Hmm.
And once you silence the spirit, bad things start happening in the brain. And trust me, people, trust me, world, I've been there. I've been there. I'm your brother. I'm the same. I'm the same as everyone. I'm not above anybody. Need to love each other a lot more. Us, us. We can't seek. Nobody's gonna do it for us. Nobody's gonna put us back together. We need to heal those broken relationships between man and woman. You know what I mean? Lots of abuse has happened. Lots of abuse. There's a lot. I mean, we're talking. Like we talked earlier, epigenetics. It's just a lot of trauma that happened, and we need to focus on us and heal. I love you like I love myself. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it.
Hmm.
I know it's definitely not an easy topic, but I really appreciate you taking the time.